On a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. This is the YWCA Hour with your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Bell Dancy and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex. Welcome in to the YWCA Hour.
Hey, welcome back to the W, brought to you by YWCA Lincoln. I am your host, Karen Bell Dancy, along with my co-host, Maisha Essex, Associate Director of YWCA Lincoln. And we are excited to talk to you about some things that really impact our community and what's happening locally as well as across the nation.
Yeah, so I know this is big news, so a lot of people probably already heard about the number one retailer pulling back their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. It was kind of a shock for a lot of people because they committed to a lot of different things that they would do and with their strategic plan and things of that nature. And it's just a topic that we wanted to talk about and revisit, which is why diversity, equity, and inclusion is important in workspaces and how it benefits all people when you implement great practices for inclusion. And so just to do an overview for Walmart, some of the things that they've decided to pull back on in regards to their diversity, equity, and inclusion plan is not renewing their 5-year commitment for an equity center that is supposed to be that they set up in 2020. Sorry, it's an equity racial center that was set up in 2020. So they're not going to go ahead and renew that commitment. They also are pulling out of the Human Rights Campaign Index, a prominent survey that tracks the LGBTQ plus corporate policies and practices. They're not giving priority treatment to suppliers based on race or gender. And they are reviewing its handling for pride and removing sexual or transgender products marketed to children from its online marketplace.
Wow. So, Maisha, let me ask you a question. Was this rooted in after 5 years, they really took an assessment and decided there was no defining impact?
Yeah.
Or
well,
how did this
when you look up kind of why, because the Walmart is not the only, big corporation that's pulling back on their DEI efforts. It's just a really big shock because Walmart is the number one retailer in the world, and they're pulling back on their diversity, equity, and inclusion promises and commitments that they've made. I read in a few places that a lot of these corporations are pulling back because of the new push to get rid of diversity, equity, inclusion. And it's being kind of backed by some litigation in regards to people suing, some more conservative groups suing and actually winning in courts. And so that, and then, affirmative action was overturned and things like that. So I read a lot of places that it's actually illegal and liability, quote unquote, allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Being one of the big reasons why some corporations are pulling back because they see that there is traction with some of these groups in regards to suing and winning for DEI practices and policies.
So interesting that that's the decision that they made at this point. However, we know the importance of having these kind of practices as core values for your corporation really makes a great environment for your employees.
It really does. And we talked about this at one point about how some of these practices and policies have become tied to identity. And that has become, and some identities are just, attacked more than others, right?
Yes.
And so when people think of DEIA, they really only think about race. Right. And they only think about a couple of races, really, when they think about DEIA, right? And then and so they I want to share that it's not just that in regards to DEIA. It's not just about race and ethnicity. It is about sex. It is about gender. It is about disabilities. It is about class. It is about so many things.
Right. Even diversity in thought.
Right. And
We miss out on that piece so much.
Yeah, we do. We do miss out on that. And so we want to just continue to impress upon the importance of it, because we're not just talking about race and gender. And just to be quite frank and honest, personally, even if we were just talking about race and gender, it is something to look at, right? To make sure that all people have a sense of belonging in your corporation and in the workplace and in the workspace. And so, I found this article, and I think it explains it really, really well for me. It was a group, Diversity Wins, How Inclusion Matters. And they measured diversity in workplaces based on 3 different things, which was equity, openness, and belonging. And when you think about that, equity, openness, and belonging, who wouldn't want that in their workspace and workplace? And who wouldn't want that to be a part of their practices and policies, so that their employees feel a sense of belonging and openness and equity across the board, right? But I say who, but I know who, right? People who are benefiting from it not being open, fair, and a belonging place.
Those fearful folks.
Right. And who benefit from a structure that currently only uplifts certain people, and definitely not people of color or different abilities. And so in regards to equity, it just refers to the fairness and transparency in pay, recruitment, promotion, and access to resources.
Right.
It's hard to understand why someone wouldn't want that to be a part of the policies. Right. And that, when you read that just by itself, it refers to fairness, transparency, pay, recruitment, promotion, and access to resources. That benefits all people.
Right.
That's just not a specific group, but it's making sure that there is accountability, right, for equity in the space. Because we know, just in regards to society, traditionally, that it has not always been equity. It's not now, right? We learned about how women in the last 20 years, right, our pay ratio to men has dropped.
Right. Yeah.
It has dropped.
Yeah.
Right. It's the lowest it's been in 20 years.
Yeah. This is all rooted in fairness. And it's interesting that the group of individuals that make these kind of decisions are the ones that benefit and stay in those leadership and those decision-making positions, not understanding the impact on the overall environment and the culture of their particular organization. So they actually end up losing out.
They do.
And we'll watch and we'll see, especially looking at a retailer like Walmart, we'll start to see the effects and the reverberation of this kind of decision that they're making, that they will start having people to exit the organization. I'm sure it will start to affect stock prices, because there will be some claims being filed. We know that when you do not have these practices and policies in place, that now it comes back. So either, as you mentioned earlier about the lawsuits and all those kinds of things, either you identify with that on the front end or on the back end. But we know from history that that's going to come back.
I know. And as a community member who, goes to Walmart, I know as people who are employees of Walmart, it just really calls into question if they can be trusted as an employee.
Yes.
Exactly. Because they put it out there that they were so committed to creating a belonging, not just space within Walmart and within the corporation, but within community. That justice center that they were trying to build, that's community work, right? And so for you to just go back on your word and go back on a lot of different things, that just calls into place of who you are, as an employer, and if you can be trusted. And if my personal qualities and experience in your space, does it really matter? Right. And then it also calls into question why you did it in the first place.
Exactly.
What was your intention behind it in the first place? Was it just a reaction of, we know what happened, right, in 2020?
Right.
That's all it was. And it was to kind of pacify what
political implications.
Yeah, like it was just to pacify some people and say, hey, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. But when it really comes down to it, when it's really time to, as one of our co-DEI facilitators let us know, when it's really time to put your hand on the pole, right, and be in there.
Yes.
Right. And that's a reference to, taking down a conservative flag. But when it's really time for you to actually be in the fire, will you be there?
Will you be there?
When it's actually time for you to be a co-conspirator and an ally, will you actually be there?
Right. And everybody's looking at this. They're watching this. They're watching these huge retailers. They're watching these universities. They're watching all these other large organizations make these kinds of decisions. So it's going to be interesting. And, I really think about the impact of what that does for a community like ours. I was actually proud that some of these larger retailers here in Lincoln, Nebraska, where we have such disparity, within the races and ethnicities in our community, that now they were bringing in more products that were more culturally sensitive. They were identifying with folks with specific needs. And so now what happens with that? Because of Walmart saying they won't seek out those kind of vendors. They will eliminate that kind of programming.
Yeah.
And they can do that because they are a private retailer. And so, but when you think about that overall, what does that say to the members of the individual communities?
Right. Because you're so correct. If I just think back 10, 15 years and when I had to go to stores and like Walgreens or Walmart and even Target at the time, I could not find a lot of products, especially like for my hair, that I could use, right? Yep. And then when they took on these different initiatives to bring more people to the table so that the customers that they're serving can find what they need at their store, it was such a great thing, right? It really, really had such a positive impact. And you're right. When you're not paying attention to that, when you're saying, I want to take away this program that highlights and welcomes and supports women and BIPOC-owned businesses and their products to be in our store, you alienate so many people.
And then you're telling me my needs are not that important.
It's not, because
my money's good.
Yeah.
But I have to settle for products that you determine that I need to have.
Yeah. And so it's always these topics and these conversations. Sometimes, it just makes sense, right? To have these policies in place. And it's so hard when you have to constantly defend why these policies should be in place when it's really, really simple.
Right. Because just as you started, they look at it just on the surface.
They look at it on the surface. And again, it just calls into play some of these big corporations and retailers. What was your intent in the first place?
Exactly.
What was
that lip service?
It was lip service.
Was that lip service?
And that's exactly what this looks like.
You endured it for 5 years.
And then said, okay, the political environment is changing. Everything is changing a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and push. And what does that say about me and my community?
Right.
That we can be just tossed from hand to hand, person to person. That's what it feels like. It's like we just be tossed around.
Right.
A hot potato over here. Like, it's just that's what our needs feel like. When it's in, we got you. When it's out, go. Like, who else? What other communities can you say that happens to?
Like it was
that.
A fad.
Like it was just a fad. Like, it was in for now.
Yeah.
Now it's gone. Maybe it'll come back in season.
Right.
A little later. But
and
right
so
now.
What does that say about the hiring practices? You mentioned it earlier. Who are they looking to bring in now? Do they even care to make sure that they really have that diversity in these different, not only in the stores, but at the corporate level as well? Right.
It does call that into question in regards to how they're going to hire their employees. And so
who's on the board? Who's sitting on the board?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know. How the board voted to support this.
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess enough. It's gone. I don't know if there's only, to be honest, I don't know if there's only one person that gets to make the decision at Walmart headquarters corporate office. But if it is the board, they obviously approved that message.
Yeah.
So
it passed.
It passed. The measure passed. Yeah. Wow. So when we're talking about openness, in the workplace, that really refers to a workplace culture where people are treated with respect
Okay.
and without bias
Right.
or discrimination, or they have to endure microaggressions. It's really
Mm-hmm.
talking about, again, just the culture of the workplace. And we
Mhm.
know on different levels that
Yes.
disrespect is disseminated out to so many people in a workspace based on a lot of different things. They can be based, again, on all things that we just said:
Right.
sex, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, right?
Yes.
It can be based on the fact that you don't believe the same way that I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Religion. It can be based on so many
Right.
things as to why I won't take into account what you're saying, your suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
your comments,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll put you in a place, in a space that I think that you belong, right? And
That
so,
I think that you
and that
belong.
I think that you belong.
That's
I'll put
key.
you in that space and in that
Mm-hmm.
place in regards to what you do here, at the job. This
Mm-hmm.
this this is your lane and you stay in, and I decide that lane, right? Whether it's against policies or not. Okay. And so when we're talking about openness and it's really like you said, all of it fairness. And so um I want to make sure that we understand how that benefits everyone.
Yes.
Having respect at the
Mm-hmm.
job, being able to share your opinions, your
Mm-hmm.
comments, if something isn't right or isn't fair,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you can share that and there will not be retaliation. That
Well,
benefits all
Maisha,
people.
exactly. And not only that, but you're okay to come in with your natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
And no one should have to say anything against
Mm-hmm.
your natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. If I go to fill out an application at your company,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to put certain things down or, those questions that are so evasive,
Mm-hmm.
about me and my demographics and my background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm less than. I'm just okay to be me. And see, we've lost that so much with all of these political influences that come into these corporations and these workplaces. And it just denounces equity and fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And so you tend to have organizations where everybody look the same. They're so homogenous. I was speaking with a group a few weeks ago, and everybody in the group looked the same with the exception of probably about four. And so I talked to them about that within your recruiting practices, when you're putting new positions out there, how do you intend to bring in different people? It wasn't even a forethought. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't think that was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at a giant like a Walmart and they're saying that those kind of practices are not important, what does that happen, to these other companies that are, they're continuing and trying to bring people on board? They don't care either because they're saying if Walmart can do it, we can do it. And
Mm-hmm.
all that does is just continue to create disparity. And it's discriminatory.
It really is.
Totally.
And I think, again, I believe, as you said, in regards to, lawsuits, potential lawsuits,
Mhm.
because people feeling discriminated within the work space and place.
Mhm.
I want to see how that goes, right? Because
Right.
affirmative action was overturned.
Yes.
You know that the political wave is moving a little bit differently, and so it would be interesting to see that happen. But it will. Like,
Mhm.
if you continue to, there is a reason why these practices were put into place.
Mhm.
And so once you eliminate them, you do open yourself up to other things as well as a corporation and an organization. And
Mhm.
it has shown that it works, right?
Right.
These practices, implementing this, and there being an intentional focus
Yes.
on the
Yes.
environment of
Right.
your workplace and
Right.
space, that it works
Mhm.
because it uplifts, honestly, all, like,
It
in
truly
the
does.
space. And so it's going to be interesting to see how some of these corporations deal with the fallout of that, and
Mhm.
then also deal with the fallout of the community, not just
Mhm.
the employees, but then how the community views you. Because
Right.
of course, when that happened, there was kind of a push
Mhm.
to be like, well, let's not go to Walmart, right?
Right.
If they're not going to ensure that my presence and who I am and that I'm represented in regards to when I walk down the aisle, what are the things that I'll see if I work for them, what is my experience like as a person of color or a differently abled person or whoever it is. If they're not going to take that seriously,
right,
then as a community, do we support?
What do we do?
Right. What do we do? And
we have cancel culture.
We do.
Is that what we do?
Right. We do. And the thing is, I know we'll talk more about this when we come back, but Walmart is so huge, right? And let me just start off by saying that we definitely can make an impact. Whatever is decided to do, it can make an impact, meaning I don't think Walmart is too big to not be held accountable.
Right.
Right. So it definitely, that's what happened in 2020, right?
Yes.
Things started to happen in Walmart. It was like, oh, we need to make some changes, right? And so they made all of these I quote commitments because they came out. It wasn't really a commitment. They just backed out all of them. But they made these promises and commitments, to the community. But we also know that in certain areas, Walmart is the only store.
That is so true.
It's the only grocery store.
In smaller.
Yeah.
It's the pharmacy. Yep. It's the auto repair. Yeah. It's everything. Well, hey, we are coming up on a break. We are at that point where we break. And I hope when we come back, Maisha, that we could talk even more about when we have these kind of organizations within the community, what's the real implication? And then what do we do? What do we do as a community? Thanks. This is a pre-recording. Stay with us.
Who wants free diamonds? This holiday season, as a thank you for shopping with us, Sartor Heyman Jewelers is giving you free diamonds. Now through December 6th, receive a pair of sparkling diamond stud earrings, a stunning diamond pendant, or a gorgeous diamond tennis bracelet for free with your qualifying purchase. We only have a limited number to give away, so once they're gone, they're gone. Don't wait on this one. Visit Sartor Heyman Jewelers, where your gift shopping shines brighter. In Lincoln at South Point Mall, downtown, and in Grand Island on State Street.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All finance with approved credit, leases with $2,500 down.
This holiday season, recharge with the Planet Fitness Black Card for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. So instead of fighting a stranger in the mall over a stuffed T-Rex, bring a friend for free and work out on the TRX. Instead of freezing in line for a lame holiday deal, relax in the Black Card spa with some hydro massage feels. Instead of being trapped at your in-laws, escape to any of our 2,600 Planet Fitness locations. Sign up today for the Planet Fitness Black Card. Just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Deal ends Friday, December 6th. See Club for details.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Early break.
There's quite a situation going on.
What?
Jake's been asked to step away on Fridays from now on.
Yeah,
they want to bring. Young Ben has been dubbed as the curse breaker. He's been dubbed as the curse breaker, and Jake's been asked kindly to step away.
Just for Fridays.
Just Fridays.
Just Fridays only.
Game
day only. Game day eve only.
Early break from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Well, let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Welcome back to the W with Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex. And today we are talking about when organizations feel it's no longer a core value of theirs to have specific programming for DEI.
Yeah. And right before the break, we were talking a little bit more about response.
Yes.
Community response to ensure that these organizations are accountable, right? Mm-hmm. And they're held accountable, especially the ones who made commitments, right? And decided, I'm going to go ahead and back up out of them. So as we talked about, one of the things was, well, let's just go ahead and cancel Walmart and not go to Walmart for like, I think it was, I saw someplace. For like
I saw a lot of folks.
I saw trying to put a time limit on. Yep. And we're done with Walmart because, they don't value us, right? They really didn't care. They made this, as we say, lip service, right? Back in 2020. But they're really not committed to the work. It was just lip service. And so Karen and I have had conversations about this as well, about, a lot of sometimes Walmart in certain areas being the only source for different things that they offer. Food, right? That's some people's only grocery store. Right. As you talked about, pharmacy, right? That's where they go to get their medications. For some people outside of Walmart, what else can they afford? Right. So there's the affordability as well in regards to that. And so I don't know if it gained momentum, because for some people that is the only option, right? And while they do not support them pulling out of their commitment right now, that's the only option. Okay. And I think they knew what they were doing. They did it around this time.
Oh, okay.
It's also a holiday. Right.
They already got the Black
Amazon
Friday
and Walmart.
money.
Right. They know what they're doing, right? Because now it's holiday time. You got the low prices on Walmart and Amazon.
Right.
The people try to, know what you're doing, right? So I do think that that is hard for some people to digest that they're going to do, because it is a necessity right now.
Exactly.
In their lives, to have this as a resource and as an option for them. And so, we were just thinking, I think back to like previous movements and, how it garnered support and things like that. And we know here in our country that the greatest movement that we had was civil rights movement, right? It made like the most impact. And, thinking about how we are now, it seems like moving back into that era.
We are.
Right? Of where we need to mobilize, right? And we need some type of central mobilization again. It's not so under the covert, right? I believe we haven't really had a big movement because it went from in your face to just into the practices and policies, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't the whites only fountain and counter and this section of the bus and things like that. And I think when it was so in our face, it became a lot more, not just prominent, but it became like a bigger push to get it out your face, right? Right. It's so in our face, right? It's in our everyday lives.
Right.
It still is, but again, it's embedded, right? In our structures and system a little bit more. And so you can go a little bit before kind of seeing that you've been taken advantage of, because it's in there, right?
Right.
But we are starting to see it become overt again, right? We're starting to see it play out in our face.
It's overt and it's also covert, because with the advances of technology and social media, you get all these things. I just finally traded in my little iPhone and got a new phone. And all of a sudden, my new phone, you can turn on the AI technology. I'm afraid of that, of course, but it's just giving me all these examples and samples of things that I can follow. Well, I don't want that to be my algorithm, because that is covertly pushing things into my space and into my sphere for me to consider that I don't want to be a part of who I am. I don't want to keep getting these kind of messages and things like that. So when we talk about people, and I won't say they're isolated, but people in rural communities and, these smaller communities where you say this organization, they're the giant within that community. Those people, they're getting subtle messaging. And, they, like you said, they can readily say, oh, okay, let's cancel them out, because they may not get those messages and have that understanding about DEI and, about equity, about democracy and all those kinds of things, like what we know of, because that's the work that we do.
Yeah.
They could be getting other messages. And so they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. The messages, they're overt and they're also covert. And I do agree with what you're saying about having movements where we can readily see if we're out here, we're doing demonstrations and we're marching, and it's for the right to vote. It's for the right to own a home. It's for the right to get a bank loan. It's for the right to pursue education, all those kinds of things. Those are the kinds of things that people readily gravitate toward. But we have to really be careful with the different kind of messages that we receive, and that we can, isolate all the negative messages that are trying to impress us to think another thing.
Yeah.
And I tell you what I'm really afraid of is a lot of these social media platforms, that I talked about, like with my iPhone, because that you start to see that consistently. You start to believe, okay, is this factual? Is this correct? And it's not. And then I think we lose a lot of our motivation to, hey, we need to collaborate, we need to mobilize, we need to organize, and we need to get out here and we need to fight a lot of this negative messaging.
We do. I am interested to see how we decide to create another movement based on structural inequalities, right? And what I mean by that is the ones that are really, really embedded that we have to get at.
Yes.
As I said before, the civil rights movement, again, it was so overt and in your face. Even with Black Lives Matter, it was because of police brutality, which was so overt and in your face, right? And we were seeing it almost, it seemed like every week there was a new killing, there was a new shooting, right? And
it's still happening.
And it's still happening, right? But that gained, I mean, and I think that's had the most momentum since the civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, because I think it came off as something that was so in our face of, you know, of the killing of people of our community, right? And so it's a lot of work that we have to do to get at these other things that are happening now, that are in play. I mean, that's been happening, but that are in play structurally, and how we, again, centralize and galvanize and mobilize in regards to fighting that. Right? Because that can be a little bit more tricky to fight, especially when the other side is now starting to change policies and law, right? Because when something is structural, right, you and it's tied up in policies, then it's legal, right? It's legalized, and so you have to go through legal means and law in order to change it, right? And I know we did that with the civil rights movement as well, you know, Brown versus Board of Education, all those things. And we do have some great lawyers that are Crump. He is always out there. We have some great lawyers.
He's
I mean, man, some great civil rights lawyers that are definitely, you know, doing their job in regards to making sure that someone's rights are not, you know, violated.
But we
civil
can't
rights.
leave it up to them.
Right. It's so I wonder as a community, how
do
do we respond to something like this where it's a structural thing?
Yes.
Is it legal? The whole point is of them allegedly doing it is because of laws changing, and again, the traction with certain groups suing companies and then winning now because of their DEI practices and policies. But I think we need to, as we look back, and I know, you know, we have certain generations, starting with mine, that look back on like the civil rights movement, and they say, well, you know, not that it didn't work, but it doesn't work now, right? What they wanted to do then and what we want to do now. And I understand that, right? Because we may have different goals, right? However, I believe we live in a society, and it has come down on all of us in all aspects of life, that we live in a society where we can't say and, it's always or, right? We're always comparing in the or sense. It's not the and. We can look back and see it was the most successful movement we've had. So something happened. It worked, right? To look back and see what worked and build upon how we can utilize it and incorporate other things into how they saw results, right? Into what we want now. A lot of times when you do the or and you compare, you dismiss whatever the good was as well. Right. Because when you say, I like this or that better, you know, then you just go with the better. You look back at the other thing, and you do not take into account all of the great that it did do, right? And the strategies, the amazing strategies that they had. They didn't just go and sit on a step and just occupy just to do it one morning. Right. That was not, they didn't do that, right? There were meetings, there were conversations, there was strategy, you know, and there were objectives to everything that they did, right? We know why. We know the famous story of the Rosa Parks in the bus, right? Right. We know she wasn't the first one to do it. Right. We also know that there was a strategy and the reason why they chose her to do it, right? To be the face of it. Right. Okay. Because at that time, one of the strategies was we wanted white America to see that Black America was just like them, right? It's a reflective thing. And so she was chosen because outside of her skin color, she reflected what other white women, you know, working in that age range and doing. Yes. And what that, see, we're the same, right? We're the same. And so there was a strategy used, and there was reason behind her being picked, right? To be the face of it, right? Some reasons. And so it's up to us to look at to figure out how to strategize and then how to come together as a people to strategize. And, and we can do it based on any of these sectors that we just named out in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion. But it's needed, right? Because the other side kind of understands a little bit more because they've been playing at the level longer, right? If it's a structural thing, they've been in authority and in leadership a longer time. They know how that system works.
Right. And it's so interesting. All of this is happening right as we are turning the calendar page. And I just don't think that it's happenstance that now we're moving under a new political administration. Well, not a new, we're returning to an old political administration and Congress that Project 2025 now will be the document from which they operate from. I believe that document, as we know, was already written, some years back, that now that will become the playbook for what happens. And so, as you say about us strategizing, mobilizing, and, figuring out what our next steps are, we should have already been doing these kinds of things. So,
and just to give props to people, there are people who are already doing it in organizations that are already doing it. We, it didn't burn down in 2016, right? As it didn't burn down, and meaning some of the policies that we wanted to ensure take place, that they did. Meaning that some of the civil rights that tried to be taken away, people's civil rights, they were fought for, right? They were won through the court to reinstate some of those human and civil rights. It didn't all burn down. So we also know in 2025 it also won't, because there are a lot of people in organizations that are fighting to ensure that these practices and these policies are in place in multiple sectors so that people's civil and human rights are not violated in this country. And as we talked about last time, y'all wrote a check. Y'all told us these things was
back to that bounce check.
That bounce check. This is what we built this country on. And that check bounced. And so there are a lot of folks out there doing that. And so I know, and a lot of people feel this way too, is just, centralizing and making sure that we all can come on a strategy and be on the same page to ensure that.
Right.
As well. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we're going to bring this segment to a close, and right after the break, we'll talk about what are the next steps. What can we do locally? Thanks. Stay with us. We're the W, Karen and Maisha.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop! Woohoo!
Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended
Justice Body Shop. That's who we are.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for $395 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1003769, $395 per month, lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, $5,250 to signing, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 11/30/24. See delivery details.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best MMA fighters on Saturday, December 7th with Violence Fight League 2 at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Fights are scheduled throughout the night, and if you haven't been before, now is the perfect time to go, with Nebraska football in between the regular season and a bowl game. Doors open at 6 p.m. with the first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the fighters and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com.
Slay the holidays this year with a gift that'll really get them going. One that's built to win, like the new Honda CR-FR Motocrosser. One that's built for fun, like a Honda Mini Moto. Or one for each member of the family, like a Honda CRF Trail Bike. At Rod's Power Sports, you'll find the motorcycle, ATV, or side-by-side they'll love. During the Honda Gifts That Go sales event, you can slay the streets in style with a Grom Mini Moto, slay the trails with the CRF 50F, or pile into a Pioneer 1006 Deluxe Crew that can carry 6 elves over the fields and through the woods all year long. This year, don't just give any gift. Give the gift of outdoor adventure with a ride they'll never forget. Don't miss out. Head to Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska during the Honda Gifts That Go sales event. It's your chance to slay the holidays and your gift list. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for complete program and safety details.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the W. And today we've been talking about DEI. What happens when huge retailers, huge organizations in the community decide that having DEI plans, measures as core values in their organizations are no longer a focus that they want to do. So when we think about that, what can we do within our own specific communities? Because we know the biggest of the impact is the local impact. And so I want to share, go back to one of the pieces that we introduced to you a few shows ago, and that was the 10 civic commitments. And we know that when members of the community, they are civically engaged, they are committed to making their community better, there are certain things that they do. They do it through their giving, supporting organizations that promote social justice and awareness. They do it through their volunteer efforts. Another way is that if you don't like what your policymakers are voting for, as we mentioned earlier, the way Congress is looking now, if we don't feel that those senators are really representing my opinions, my view, my core values, then either I have two things I can do. I can try to vote them out or I can try to replace them. And when I say try to replace them, I mean replace them individually. That means, as one of the 10 civic commitments, get out and run for office. And it doesn't have to be you want to be a congressional senator or a state senator. This means you want to be on your local school board. You want to run for city council. You want to be a commissioner. There are a lot of different offices and positions that are available within the community that we really want to highlight, and we want to make sure that we bring diverse talent into those areas that represent the widespread demographic of the community. What do you think, Maisha?
Yeah. Of course, we always encourage for people to run for local offices and different positions. As we talked about before, sometimes we forget that your local government is what governs you more. Than your, has a bigger impact on your life because we're just so kind of consumed with the presidential election and what's happening at the national level that we do forget that locally there you can make a lot of impact and change when you're focused on what your local government is doing. So that, of course, Karen, and then also, how are you engaged right with your community? Think of all the things that are important to you. How are you engaged in regards to educating the community on those issues, and then bringing about change on those issues? A lot of times we can say it's not right, but what are we doing to ensure that we correct it? Right, and I know that we all start at different levels. Right. And so you could just start by going to a meeting, picking an organization that really connects with what you are committed to doing and go to one of their meetings, right? Call up and say, hey, I want to volunteer, something I want to do. You'll become more educated about the issue that is so important to you so that you can educate others and you can advocate in a correct way and not give misinformation. So that's one way that you can make sure that you are engaged. Another way that you can do that, we always say time, talent, treasure, right? So your time, your talent, what's unique about you that you can bring to some of these organizations that are working on your cause, right? That's your talent. And then your treasure, of course, is if you are in the position to do so, are you willing to donate, financially support, especially a nonprofit that is out here doing
and it doesn't have to be that large amount, right? We know as the YWCA, if you give $5 can help a kid get a ticket to get into the zoo for STEM education.
Yeah. So
that's simple.
Yeah. So there are different ways to engage and get involved. And I think that's where we should start.
Right. I do too. We have enjoyed this hour. Of course, again, this is a pre-recording. You can go ahead and check us out on the podcast and you can put comments, but hope to have you in our audience and listening with us.
Slay the holidays this year with a gift that'll really get them going. One that's built to win, like the new Honda CRF-R Motocrosser. One that's built for fun, like a Honda Mini Moto. Or one for each member of the family, like a Honda CRF Trail Bike. At Rod's Power Sports, you'll find the motorcycle, ATV, or side-by-side they'll love. During the Honda Gifts That Go sales event, you can slay the streets in style with the Grom Mini Moto, slay the trails with the CRF 50F, or or pile into a Pioneer 1006 Deluxe Crew that can carry 6 elves over the fields and through the woods all year long. This year, don't just give any gift. Give the gift of outdoor adventure with a ride they'll never forget. Don't miss out. Head to Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska during the Honda Gifts That Go sales event. It's your chance to slay the holidays and your gift list. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for complete program and safety details.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today. Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall, Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.